In those days, the land of Israel was plunged into turmoil. The people had turned away from the God of their fathers, seeking after idols and false gods. Because of their disobedience, their enemies rose against them, and the Philistines became a constant threat. The highways were abandoned, and travelers took winding paths to avoid the marauding bands of soldiers who terrorized the land. The hearts of the Israelites were filled with fear, and the land that once flowed with milk and honey now knew only sorrow and oppression. But in the midst of this despair, there was a man, a humble farmer, whose heart burned with the quiet fire of faith. His name was Shamgar, son of Anath. He was not a man of war, nor did he possess great wealth or influence. Yet within him resided a steadfast belief in the God of Israel, a faith that would soon change the course of his nation's history. Shamgar was a man of simple means, a tiller of the soil who spent his days working the land with his oxen. His hands were rough from labor, and his clothes were the stains of the earth. Yet, as he worked, he often found himself in prayer, lifting his voice to God, asking for deliverance from the Philistine oppressors. He had heard the stories of the mighty judges before him, men who had delivered Israel through God's power. Deep within his soul, Shamgar longed to see his people free once more. One day, as Shamgar guided his oxen through the fields, a powerful sense of calling washed over him. He felt the presence of the Lord upon him, stirring him to action. But what could a mere farmer do against the armies of the Philistines? He had no sword, no shield, no army to command, only his ox goad, a long wooden staff tipped with iron, used to prod the oxen. In that moment, Shamgar knew that the Lord was calling him to act. The day came when the Philistines descended upon the land in great numbers, their warriors marching with arrogance and confidence. They believed themselves invincible, for who could stand against their might? But as they spread out across the fields, a solitary figure appeared on the horizon. Shamgar, with nothing but his ox goad in hand, stood alone against the Philistine army. The enemy warriors laughed at the sight, mocking the lone farmer who dared to challenge them. But Shamgar's heart was not swayed by their taunts. His faith was firm, and he knew that the Lord was with him. With a cry of defiance, Shamgar charged into the midst of the Philistines. The ox goad in his hand became a weapon of divine power. He struck down one Philistine after another, each blow guided by the hand of God. The ground beneath him was soon littered with the bodies of his enemies, and the laughter of the Philistines turned to cries of fear and confusion. 600 men fell before Shamgar that day. It was a victory that could only be attributed to the God of Israel, for no man alone could achieve such a feat. The remaining Philistines fled in terror, spreading the tale of the farmer who had defeated an army with nothing but a simple tool. Word of Shamgar's victory spread quickly throughout Israel. The people who had been living in fear were now filled with hope. They saw in Shamgar the power of faith and the might of their God. The highways that had once been deserted were now safe to travel, and the Philistine threat was pushed back, if only for a time. Shamgar became a judge in Israel, a leader who ruled with wisdom and integrity. His story, though brief in the annals of history, became a testament to the truth that God does not require great warriors or mighty kings to accomplish his purposes. He can use the lowliest of men, the simplest of tools, to bring about deliverance. The story of Shamgar is a reminder to all who hear it that faith in God can turn the tide of any battle. It is not our strength, our resources, or our abilities that determine the outcome, but our willingness to be used by God. Shamgar's victory was not just a physical one, but a spiritual triumph that encouraged the people of Israel to return to their God. And so, as long as the story of Shamgar is told, may it inspire us to trust in God's power, no matter how insurmountable the odds may seem. For with faith, even the smallest of us can overcome the greatest of challenges.